History remembers him as one of the most powerful conquerors who ever lived, a man whose armies reshaped continents and built the largest land empire in human history. But what makes the story of Genghis Khan so remarkable is this. He did not begin life as a prince. He began life as a boy abandoned to die on the cold Mongolian steppe. And yet, somehow, that boy would grow into the man the world would fear as Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was born around 1162 with the name Temujin on the vast grasslands of what is now Mongolia. Life on the steppe was already harsh, but Temujin's life became even harder when he was just 9 years old. His father, a tribal leader, was poisoned by rival enemies. Without protection, Temujin's family was abandoned by their own tribe. Suddenly, the boy who had once belonged to a noble clan was left with nothing. No tribe, no protection, no future. His family survived by hunting small animals and gathering roots in the wild. For years, they lived on the edge of starvation. But those difficult years taught Temujin something that would define his future. Survival requires strength. As Temujin grew older, danger followed him everywhere. Rival tribes saw him as a threat. At one point, he was captured and enslaved by a rival clan. They placed a wooden collar around his neck to prevent escape. For many people, this would have been the end of the story, but Temujin refused to accept defeat. One night, under the cover of darkness, he managed to escape. With help from a sympathetic family, he disappeared into the wilderness. That moment would become one of the first signs of the resilience that would later define him. But here is where Temujin did something that changed the destiny of the Mongol tribes forever. Instead of ruling through noble bloodlines, he built loyalty through merit. On the steppe, tribes were usually divided by family lineage, but Temujin chose warriors based on ability, courage, and loyalty. A poor shepherd could become a general. A former enemy could become a trusted ally. This idea was revolutionary among the Mongol tribes, and it allowed Temujin to attract followers from many different groups. Slowly, his power began to grow. For centuries, the Mongol steppe had been divided among rival tribes. Constant warfare made unity impossible. But Temujin had a vision. He believed the tribes could become stronger if they united under one leader. Through a mixture of diplomacy, alliances, and warfare, he gradually defeated rival clans. One by one, tribes either joined him or were conquered. Finally, in the year 1206, something historic happened. The Mongol tribes gathered in a great assembly, and Temujin was given a new title, Genghis Khan, which roughly meant universal ruler. But becoming leader of the Mongols was only the beginning. What came next would shock the world, because Genghis Khan was not satisfied with ruling the steppe. He turned his attention outward toward powerful kingdoms and wealthy cities beyond the Mongolian plains. And his armies moved faster than anything the world had seen before. The armies of Genghis Khan were unlike traditional forces. They were built on speed, discipline, and intelligence. Mongol soldiers could ride for days across vast distances. They communicated with signal flags, horns, and messengers, and they used psychological warfare to terrify enemies before battles even began. City after city fell before the Mongol advance. Kingdoms that had stood for centuries collapsed within years. The world had never seen anything like it. Under Genghis Khan's leadership, the Mongols expanded rapidly across Asia. Trade routes were secured, communication across vast lands improved, and the empire connected cultures from China to the Middle East. By the time of his death in 1227, Genghis Khan had transformed a scattered group of tribes into the most powerful empire the world had ever known. The rise of Genghis Khan is one of history's most extraordinary transformations. A boy abandoned by his tribe, a prisoner who escaped slavery, a leader who united divided peoples, and a conqueror who reshaped the map of the world. His story reminds us that greatness often begins in the most unlikely places. Adversity can either break a person or forge them into something stronger. The individuals who rise above hardship, learn from struggle, and build loyalty with others often become the ones who change the course of history. Sometimes the greatest leaders begin as the most forgotten.